Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Mildred. There she is. Hey, honey. I know, she's tired. Poor thing. She's been up playing since 4 o'clock this morning. Life is so difficult when you're a cat. It really is. Anyway, it's story time with Uncle Davy. I'm going to read you a letter, one of my favorite all-time letters by a composer about anything. It comes from Selected Correspondence of Charles Ives, edited by Tom C. Owens. And the letter is to his dad from 1894 after his first trip to the opera to see Götterdämmerung, of all things. So it's Charles Ives reviews Götterdämmerung, 1 April 1894. Are we ready? Here we go. Dear Father, received your letter last evening after I had returned from New York. I left here at 10:20 and reached the city at a little before 1 o'clock and went immediately to the theater in time to get a good seat in the family circle, top gallery. I could see quite well and could hear very plainly. I bought a libretto with both German and English words. I read the plot over thoroughly 2 or 3 times so I could understand and follow the German words better. I could easily see what Wagner tried to do. You wouldn't notice the music or orchestra, as it all seems to be part of and go along with the action and story. I don't mean that you wouldn't notice it, because it is integral to the play, but that it feels as if it was only made to help one pay attention to the action. I don't remember any particular piece or song that you would notice simply for the music itself, unless it was the Song of the Rhine Daughter at the beginning of the second act. There are some things, though, that don't seem exactly natural. For instance, in one place, Siegfried is supposed to be greatly furiated at Brunhilde, and she has a long song in which she is greatly excited and upbraids him, but he, instead of interrupting her, waits until the orchestra plays a long intermezzo and then begins. And there were several other places like that struck me as being rather unnatural, although there was probably some reason for it. They bring a horse on the stage, and it is supposed to be on the shore of the river, but you hear his hooves striking the timbers of the stage, which spoils all the effect. And then, too, the using of so much horn, reed, and kettle drums grows awfully tiresome towards the end. And about all I can remember of the orchestra now is that it was all diminished chords, holes, and trombone. Of course, I don't mean to criticize, but this is just as it seemed to me. But probably if I had studied it more before, I would think differently. But anyway, the horse ought to have had some dirt to walk on. I wish I had time to study all of his operas. The horses, of course, not Wagner's. Everything altogether is great, and you can see just what his idea was, and it seems funny that nobody thought of it before. Although it does seem that if the band beat more rhythm or connected melody, you know what I mean, in his music, and if the action was more natural, and if the plot had more sense to it, as it is just a common fairy story, and when you think of it, looks like a great deal of work over nothing, or if it was in fact a real history, or taken from some noted book, or that some educational benefit could be gotten from it. We'll send program libretto when I send wash, as in the laundry, as I want you to read it over and tell me what you think. And lieber Uncle Lyman. The opera lasted until 6:15, and so when I got down to Prince Street, Mr. Creveling had gone home, but I was reassured very carefully by a clerk who said he would tell him I was in. Mr. Stan's store was also closed. I left at 8:01 and reached home at 10:20. Everything seems to be all right at school. Please ask Moss to get me more of those coaching hats, 6 3/4 size. Give my love to all. Yours very truly, C. Chucky babes. So that was Charles Ives' experience of Wagner's masterpiece. I just love it. It's absolutely wonderful. He is a budding critic. He tells you everything that's wonderful, and then he proceeds to completely demolish and trash the thing as being completely meaningless and unnatural. And I really do feel sorry for the horse. I think that's probably the only review that spends more time in Götterdämmerung talking about the horse than about any other characters that are actually singing. But it's just a wonderful, wonderful letter from a young guy, experiencing high culture for the first time. Incidentally, he'd probably come in on the train from New Haven, which I do several days a week. We're all on the same line. And I think that's really kind of interesting. Very, very interesting. So I hope you enjoyed that little dip into the inner workings of one composer's feelings about another, at least in his youth, his callow, terribly callow youth. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.